process began in 1992 with the election of more women, African Americans, and Hispanics. It is time to increase that diversity in 1994 with the election of a highly qualified, openly gay man to the Circuit Court of Cook County.
Is it really any surprise that Tom announced his candidacy as Illinois' first openly gay elected official? It wasn't to me. He and his associates started a very important program at Howard Brown, the planning of wills, the signing of wills for AIDS patients, their partners, to protect their rights. His background, his thinking has always been for those who don't have a voice. The community rallied around him, I being one of them. It was a privilege, it was an honor to be part of history and to see my old pal do the right thing.
So for me, the beginning of Tom's running for judge begins with a guy that I met in the late 1970s when we played softball together, and I was his softball coach, because Tom was always an aggressive player and was never afraid to come up to bat. And ultimately, being the first openly gay person to seriously run and win elective office is really about being willing to come up to bat.
It was December of 1992, and Tom and I were at a meeting, I think for the political committee of an organization called Impact, which was then a gay political organization in town. And Tom leans over to me and says, "I'm thinking about running as an openly gay candidate for judge."
As far as what was going on in the community around that time, it was amazing. I actually didn't entirely realize that no one had ever successfully run for office as an openly gay person before. I knew that Ron Sable had tried and he didn't succeed with that. But when Tom said he was going to do it, I was like, okay, well, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I'll get on board, and you know, it was actually a lot of fun.
I don't know how I first met Tom, but once I did, we really became friends right away. And we had had so many friends and were involved with the same kind of people in the same community that were impacted by AIDS. And it was much more than just an impact of knowing people.
When Tom was running, those of us in the lesbian community decided to sign on to his campaign, and oftentimes in that era, the women's community and the men's community did not always meet eye to eye. So we wanted to make sure that women knew that Tom was someone that was an ally and understood feminist issues. And we worked very hard for his campaign.
Well, in covering Tom as a media person for gay newspapers in Chicago, I saw that immediately he was getting together a wide range of supporters. A lot of those supporters had come out of previous unsuccessful campaigns, for example, for Ron Sable for alderman, and also people that had been very active in the March on Washington in 1987. There was still a lot of energy into the 90s from the AIDS movement as well as the political movements and the progressive part of the GLBT community. So I think that Tom immediately kind of got this diverse support from within the LGBT community, and then he translated that also to being a very sophisticated and kind of tactical candidate that was really needed. He wasn't going to be pushed around by the mainstream Democratic Party, and he certainly was going to make sure that he wasn't catering to only one part of the LGBT demographic either. So I was really impressed with the diversity of the people supporting him, as well as the types of events that he would go out to and campaign at.
I can tell you that the group that helped me think about being alderman as early as 1993 or 4 was part of some of the kitchen cabinet that helped Tom in the early days of the campaign. And I felt very, very proud of my relationship, my friendship with Tom, and our political goals of empowering the gay and lesbian community. So we had a lot of fun talking about it, but again, I think Tom really took the challenge on the judicial level, where he felt he could add value to the community.
So we come up to the idea of running for judge, and Tom had to convince most of us in the community that this was something that was important to the community, not just a good job for Tom, but that it could be really important in our history, and it was time to get somebody elected. And Tom did a great job of, frankly, of explaining and showing us all what it could mean to have somebody openly get elected to office, and that he should be that person.
And he said, "I'd like you to be my treasurer and finance director." And I said, "Okie dokie." Not sure what I was getting myself into. So there we were off, and Tom put together a campaign. And one of our strategies was we were going to raise a large sum of money. In those days, judicial campaigns generally cost $15,000 to run. And we decided we were going to raise $75,000. My theory being, if you're going to elect someone openly gay, you need to overpower everyone else on the ballot. And that's still my theory today.
Tom has an amazing perseverance when he has an issue in mind, and I have always admired Tom's dedication to lesbian and gay issues, his willingness to fight, and his willingness to put time and effort and energy and care into the struggle for lesbian and gay civil rights.
And Tom took that full mantle of weight upon his shoulders because he realized that running for judge in Cook County as an openly gay candidate didn't just mean running for office. It meant running for all of us, and that he had to win, because then once again we would no longer be taken for granted, and we would become now partners at the table.
People wanted to be part of not just history, but to be part of Tom's project, as Tom had so willingly given his support and his time to everyone else's project, whether or not they were connected by way of him as an athlete, a volunteer, a prominent attorney, the voice for the underdog. People knew this was the right way to go. I think we knew the momentum was on Tom's side. I think we knew he was on his way, and he carried us all along with him. It was a blast.
I was in charge of special events for the campaign, and we did a lot of fun events, but the absolute best one was the night at the Apollo, where we got sort of like a variety show, and Tom's mom performed with the Rockettes of Ages, and a bunch of great people, and Tom did his famous duet with John Herrera to We'll Always Be Bosom Buddies, and just brought the house down. We had so much fun that night.
I think another piece that's significant to remember about the campaign itself was Tom's political savvy, because he was not one of the 3 slated candidates in the 8th sub-circuit, and yet Tom figured out how to box in the committeeman and his opponents so that 2 of the slated candidates ended up running for the same seat. That was unheard of, and it was largely what Tom and his other political friends ended up engineering, which really opened the door for his election.
Election night. So there we were with our election night party at Ann Sanders, the old Ann Sanders on Belmont. And I still remember when Tom and I don't remember which one of us got there first, but I remember Tom looking at me and saying, "We had so much going for us. How do we blow this election?" Because we were both convinced that we had lost this thing. And then the results started coming in. And eventually we realized that Tom had won. And it was, I can still remember it today, it was an incredible sensation. The sensation of winning on election night. And when you win your first campaign, it's a sensation you never forget.
With your help, we can make history. Thank you very much.